Yeah, okay, live. Jason wanted me in the robe today. And I was like,
No, we save
I
that for a
thought
special
about it.
occasion.
I thought about it. You know, it's just so comfortable.
Raiders make the Super Bowl. Robe, week one next year.
Shirtless.
Ah,
Shirtless.
yeah.
Naked. I don't care. You're not going to see the lower half. So it's like,
Exactly.
I'll be in better shape by that time, too. That's
Should
right.
we tell them about whenever I do shows in my underwear, Cease?
Let them guess.
Yeah.
Right? Let them guess. Okay. Speaking of guessing, let's get this thing going here in 3, 2, and whoops. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Well, who in the hell is going to play for Green Bay coming up on Thursday night? Green Bay against Arizona. Bloom, I saw you tweeting about this yesterday because we've got some coof list stuff with Davante Adams, who should be able to play with a couple of negative tests. Alan Lazard will not play. So you were saying Equinemius St. Brown, or actually just use Aaron Jones more as a receiver, which makes a lot of sense. Robert Tonyan Day, right? Tonyan's back. Maybe back in the good graces of fantasy GMs, maybe forced to be back because of this matchup against Arizona. Should be fantastic. And because of the, coof list problems that the Packers are having this week.
This is a fun matchup. First, can we say this is a really fun Thursday matchup?
Yes.
Thank you to the football gods for both of these quarterbacks being healthy, and thank you to the schedule makers for putting this one on there, because it sure has the makings of a good old quarterback duel. And will it be less fun without Davante Adams and without Alan Lazard? And I think at this point, Cease, until we see something to the contrary, if a player goes on the COOF list during the week, they're not going to play that week. And I don't think we've seen somebody go on the COOF list early in the week and then play that week. So, if you're wondering, waiting around, you're listening to this on Wednesday, I wouldn't wait around. But what that does mean, interestingly enough, without Davante Adams in the lineup, Aaron Rodgers had some big games the last couple of years, a 5-touchdown game, a 4-touchdown game. So don't think that means, there goes the air out of the ball for this pass offense. And it should mean that something they should have been doing all along. Aaron Jones should be used like an Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey type. Mm-hmm. He really should be. And Green Bay even brought him back, and they're still not doing that. Now they'll do it by necessity. Robert Tonyan could catch 10 balls in this game. Randall Cobb, certainly at least what the heck flex worthy. And then we'll see about Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who has risk because if he does get activated from IR, he'll be coming back from a hamstring injury. He's a speed receiver, but also upside because he's going to get those deep targets. So I think, the player that gets frozen out here probably ceases A.J. Dillon, and we'll see if Kylan Hill's continuing to close on Dillon. Dillon with that fumble last week, not used that much. So that's going on in the background. But this is just fun. Wasn't this the team? What did they do in the playoffs when these two teams played? Cease like 48-45 or something ridiculous.
Right.
Good old Jeff Janis. This matchup is fun.
Fun. And it's almost unforgivable what they've done with Aaron Jones. And it seems like it's like with Atlanta with Kyle Pitts, although Pitts was a rookie, so you didn't, really know what he could do, but you kind of knew what he could do. With Jones, it's like we already know what he can do. You should have been doing this, and now they're going to be forced to do it, much like Atlanta was forced to actually start using Kyle Pitts. We're not talking about Atlanta. We're talking about Arizona. And with the Arizona side, Bloom, it's becoming one of those things simply start your Cardinals. Start your you got AJ Green starting. Yes. I'm breaking ties when I get questions. I'm breaking ties in favor of Cardinals. Right. And Zach Ertz, the revelation, Chase Edmonds, James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk. Yes, please give me all my Cardinals.
So it's funny, Cease. You sometimes anticipate this stuff. We've been doing this for a long time. You know what my note is on Arizona?
What is it?
Heck, play Kirk, Green, Moore, Ertz, Edmonds, Conner. Play everybody. Really, that was my note on them this week because Green Bay's defense is not good. All right. Jair Alexander is on IR and, Rashawn Gary's coming along. That first round pick is starting to yield some dividends, but this is going to be an offensive game. Again, I come back to 1983. Maybe one of the moments that truly made me fall in love with sports, watching live sports, learning everything I can about the contest and the players and the people involved, the programs, the franchises, because then something like NC State beating Houston in Albuquerque, where I spent some of my childhood in the Pit, which is an awesome basketball arena. It meant something, but it was the game before that, the Houston-Louisville game, these two juggernauts in the Final Four. And I think the Jim Valvano quote was, if a little kid had run onto the court, they would have picked up the kid and dunked the kid. In this game, they would pick up the kid and throw him for a 50-yard touchdown.
Be careful. Be careful out there.
Exactly.
Right. And here we go into Sunday's action. Hey, there's Atlanta. Carolina and Atlanta, to be exact. That's our next game up. And the Carolina side of things, it's like last stand for Sam Darnold. We're still looking at Chuba Hubbard with some confidence, but everyone else is like very questionable, Sigmund. So yeah. Carolina, but it's Atlanta, right? You're sort of like, oh, well, it's Atlanta. My Panthers players should do something. Well, what will they do on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know. Yuck. Sam Darnold.
Is that your note on this? Yuck?
Right. Yep. Yuck. Because at this point, it only took. See, at least we talk about quarterback purgatory. Carolina is not going to spend very long in quarterback purgatory. Now, the current word is there's no interest in trading for Deshaun Watson at this time.
The current word is Miami already has a deal in place, but Stephen Ross is waiting for league
to say something, which we're all waiting for.
And he's waiting for the courts, which it's not going to be deposed until next spring. So it's like, we got a deal. You don't have anything, dude.
Right. The court system says, the Miami Dolphins want to let's go ahead and fast track this. Hey, everybody, come into work late tonight so we can make sure the Dolphins can figure out what they're going to do about their quarterback this year. But what are the Carolina Panthers going to do about their quarterback this year? Keep playing Sam Darnold because P.J. Walker isn't it. Sam Darnold isn't it, but this is where this franchise is right now. I probably wish they still had Teddy. Could potentially be, you bring it up, Cease, Atlanta as a matchup, a DJ Moore bounce back game, maybe a Chuba Hubbard bounce back game here offensively, maybe some signs of life for Robbie Anderson, whose career, even though he got that big extension this offseason, as far as his play, it's bottoming out right now. And that's it. The Deshaun Watson situation is hovering over a few teams, but it sounds like not Carolina, which is bad for Darnold, just because he could languish, right? On one hand, it's good for Darnold because he's going to get the rest of the year to play. But on the other hand, if Darnold's play doesn't improve, he's going to put himself on the all-time backup list. I mean, he's going to put himself on like nobody's going to give him another chance. And right now, as bad as things are going for the Jets, at least they got some picks for Sam Darnold.
Well, it's things change quickly in the NFL, and you go from one day being a first-round pick, and then you turn around and you're Blaine Gabbert. That's where Sam Darnold's going to wind
up. That's a terrible end to a story. You turn around and you're Blaine Gabbert.
Well, that's what I think about Drew Lock this year.
Right.
Where it's like, you're going to be Blaine Gabbert if you don't win this job. And as far as the Teddy thing, they wouldn't want Teddy back. Atlanta side, and not because of Teddy. That's some behind-the-scenes stuff I'll tell you off air, which everyone is always like, who should do a show of that stuff? I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
I want to work in the NFL, yeah.
Atlanta side of things, like, it's exciting. It's exciting because guys are healthy and, hopefully all the personal stuff with Ridley and all that stuff cleaned up. And, and now it's exciting with Pitts. It's exciting with Patterson. And for anyone like flexing on Mike, you drafted Mike Davis. It's like, it would have made sense had Atlanta had a well-balanced team on both sides of the ball. So they could, run with a more power guy, but Patterson's the guy that gives him the energy. So Atlanta went from dud, yawn, let's make fun of him to, wow, pretty good.
Yeah. Arthur Smith doing good for this franchise, using these players the way that they can be used to their fullest potential, maybe even restoring some trade value for Matt Ryan in the offseason, right? Maybe even Arthur Blank's going to say, keep Matt Ryan around. But he's coming alive for fantasy again. Remember when people thought the Panthers were a good defense? No. They're not really a good defense. Maybe they're not one of the worst defenses that we want to pick on, but certainly you're filling in for Lamar Jackson this week. Matt Ryan's one of your choices. Yeah, you like that. He's coming alive. Even threw a deep ball, Cease. It was completed to Russell Gage for a touchdown. So Calvin Ridley, there's hope. You're still going to keep playing Ridley with that high PPR floor, but maybe a big play comes through here. Kyle Pitts. And Cease, notice how the conversation changes, and I appreciate the love you gave me on that. Notice how the conversation changes, that all of a sudden now the talk is, will Kyle Pitts break records? Right. Like how quickly it all changes.
And it was always there.
Yeah, it was always there. And Arthur Smith. It's good. Yeah, so it's there and it's fun and it's really fun to watch. One of the passes he caught last week was on Xavier Howard, so it doesn't really matter. And the other thing I want to say, Cease, every week I'm going to take some time, put aside even just a few seconds to say, wow, Cordero Patterson, wow, Arthur Smith. Don't tell me that this was some revelation this offseason or because of this team. This could have been happening all along.
Yes.
So it's fun, man. I love that Cordero Patterson, who's an interesting and cool dude. I think he's like really into fashion coming out of Tennessee, fashion design or something like that. I don't know. My brain's probably I should never rely on things that come out of the back of my brain like that.
Well, NFL doesn't like people that don't like anything but football. So
yeah. So anyway,
and that shows the sign and the arrogance of coaching staffs around the league.
Yeah,
that Patterson wouldn't get this sort of opportunity. You have that athleticism. You could do that. And it reminds me of the Kyle Pitts thing. Like, this should have been happening since week 1. Yeah. By the way, Bloom, I didn't get to say it in the recap, but late hands.
Yeah.
One of the best thing about Kyle Pitts is late hands. Like, he's big and athletic and physical and fast and fun. But late hands, described to me years ago by my friend Mike Pritchard, first round pick himself, where the pass is coming in and you're watching it, but you don't stick your hands out until it's almost there, so you don't tip the DB off. Late hands are, when it's skilled. Done right, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing watching him play.
And it's not just the measurables. He has skill.
Right.
It was Chris Trapazzo who first put that out there during draft season. Like, hey, the best thing about Kyle Pitts is for all of the tools and gifts he has, he can play too.
Yeah, and he can play. We can play, and we can talk about, well, Miami and Buffalo. That is the next game up here on the Week 8 preview, Part 1 on the Audible. And, well, it's the Miami side first, Bloom, and this is what, is it Myles Gaskin? Do we trust Myles Gaskin? Do we know Mo? Like, do we trust Myles Gaskin? Only 2 teams on bye this week, the Raiders and Baltimore. I thought Jason would take off to Vegas for the, go enjoy his Raiders bye week. But either way, Miami side, it's like, okay, Gaskin's been hot and cold and lots of cold and then a little bit of lukewarm. I don't know. I don't really want to say hot and Myles Gaskin in the same sentence. Jaceki can bail out Tua. Tua's been playing well. They're just not winning. They're not going to win against Buffalo. But will they be forced to put up a bunch of points? And what does that mean for Tua getting it done without some of the targets that we thought he would, at the beginning of this season? He's throwing Devontae Parker and Will Fuller and Preston Williams. Like, nah, not now. So what is it now?
Yeah, what is it now? What it is, Cease, is potentially making way for Deshaun Watson. I don't know, but also trying to make it so that they hadn't traded away a top 5 pick next year to move up for Jalen Waddle. This is a tough draw, though. Last year, Tua did play in Week 17 against Buffalo. Had the 361 and a touchdown and 3 interceptions. It was a game where Buffalo wasn't exactly, there wasn't a lot on the line. Could Buffalo's defense slow him down? I mean, this is a better defense than Jacksonville or Atlanta. These are the teams that Tua's been putting up good numbers against recently. In that game, by the way, it was a Devontae Parker game. I don't care if Devontae Parker plays or not. We're not going to go with him. But it was also Myles Gaskin. He had a touchdown in that one, and it looked pretty good. So you're right, Cease. I don't know if we're saying Myles Gaskin is hot, but he makes something out of his touches, unlike the other running backs in the Dolphins' backfield without Malcolm Brown, who's now on IR. I don't think they can mess this up. I think especially in PPR leagues, Gaskin is a running back too, certainly a flex or what the heck flex because of the natural game script we're going to have here. And when these teams played last year, Buffalo really had their way with Miami's defense, and that's when we thought Miami's defense was good, Cease. What are they going to do coming off a bye?
Yeah, what are they going to do now coming off a bye? And what is Buffalo going to do in this one? And, of course, the running back issue continues. We'll watch that combination. Splitting time, splitting headache, as I said earlier this year with Buffalo. But it's Josh Allen going to, what, E going to do E? We know no Dawson Knox, so maybe more Gabriel Davis, Right. And, of course, Stephon Diggs is in your lineup every single week.
Yeah, and it's so funny, Cease. You know how they say it goes without saying, and I'm messing it up by saying it goes without saying you're going to play Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki in this one. Yeah. I just said it.
Yeah.
So I'm making a brain teaser out of that. Maybe the answer to the brain teaser is Gabriel Davis. I think you're right to point out that with Dawson Knox out, that should make you more inclined to play Cole Beasley, more inclined to play Gabriel Davis, even as a deep what the heck flex. He had 2 for 107 and a touchdown in the last game of the year. Matt Barkley even, dunked on the Miami defense at times in that game. So Josh Allen had some big games. The pass offense, I think they had over 400 yards in one of the games and just short of 400 yards in the other. The point is, Buffalo and this offense, yeah, they know how to get the air show going against Miami. What does that mean for, then of course you're going to play Emmanuel Sanders with his 2-touchdown upside. What does it mean for the running backs, though? I don't know. Not much. I mean, we thought Zach Moss was taking control of this backfield. Then it reverted back to more of a 50-50 split. Again, this team has had a lot of success attacking Miami's defense through the air. I don't expect that to change. I just hope, I'm just going to make a wish with my heart here for all the Buffalo fans that I know, because, wow, the AFC is wild and woolly. But Buffalo has to like how they're situated this year. I hope that we at least can see Buffalo continue to help the fans and everyone believe that maybe this could be the year taking business against Miami. That's part of that.
Taking care of business. That's what you have to do if you are the Buffalo Bills. If you're the 49ers, it's is Kyle Shanahan a good coach? And that's a question, Bloom. I never jump down people's throats for questions, because I think questions can be smart. You can learn from those things. But I happen to push that or promote that idea of, is Kyle Shanahan a good head coach, to someone, let's just say, around the building. And it was met with a bunch of rolled eyes and a bunch of laughter and a bunch of like, of course he is, right? Now, of course, it's people that are around the building.
Okay.
So, it's just an interesting response. I just wanted to get a gauge, like, hey, this is what people are saying outside of your building. What does this mean? And it was like, of course, Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. And, he get to look like it against Matt. Well, I don't know. Is it going to?
I don't know.
Matt Nagy going to be on the Zoom call, right? Is he going to be like Lord Sidious in The Force Unleashed, where it's just like on the body of a clone of a robot and you could see his face? Anyway, getting too Star Wars geeky. Let's talk about the 49ers and then the trouble. Who was it? Matt Miller, our friend of the show. And actually, you and I showed Matt around his first Senior Bowl, which he always does remember and talk about. So thank you, Matt. But Matt Miller, a good friend, he quote tweeted something from a book, and it was talking about how their decision about Jimmy G and like how the Patriots really, they were gonna get that thing done. And this rolls back to my Sam Darnold thing, and it's like, okay, they just were stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I still think they should just rip the Band-Aid off and go with Trey Lance. I think, did I say Trey Sermon a couple times yesterday when I was talking about Trey Lance? I don't know. I got to wake up. I got to drink more coffee. Anyway, Bloom, let's talk about the 49ers and, I don't know, bounce back, bounce up, curb stomp. How do you describe the 49ers this week?
Dead cat bounce. You've heard that term, right? The dead cat bounce.
Yeah. Watch a Devin Bush video.
Right. Oh, geez. Yeah. So, look, my note for this game is avert your eyes bowl, the avert your eyes. And it's funny because these are the two teams that traded up for quarterbacks, at least in fantasy circles. We're pretty excited, but there's nothing to be excited about right now with either of these teams. Now, it's interesting, and again, I forgot the person who pointed this out to me on Twitter, but they gave me a few more leads on this or tweets, that if you're wondering, it does really sound like Kyle Shanahan and Jed York are so tight that I don't even know what it would take for Kyle Shanahan to get fired. I don't think he's going to get fired. I think this is a lifer job. There's a handful of lifer jobs around the league, right? Did you see Mike Tomlin, by the way? Oh, I would talk about that.
Yes, I did. So we actually played it on the show last night and talked because Nick's close with Tomlin, so of course he loved talking about that.
Well, good for Tomlin. I mean, good for Tomlin because he's in one of those lifer jobs too. So whatever we think about Kyle Shanahan, I think the response you got from inside the building reflects what they think. Whether it's accurate or not, it doesn't matter. If we're prognosticating whether Kyle Shanahan could be fired or could be on a hot seat, no. The answer is no. Khalil Mack may go on IR. That's not good. One of the keys to this defense. You would think that you're going to see a big game from Elijah Mitchell. You would think you're going to see a big game from Deebo Samuel. I don't know how you could play Jimmy Garoppolo at this point outside of two quarterback superflex leagues. And even there's only two teams on bye this week. So I don't even know if he is a desirable play there. So yes, San Francisco, it's a road game, so you never know. But if they should, to remain at least credibly not a bad team after the way they played on Sunday night, win this game. But at the same time, I think we can see Cease. It's interesting because both of these teams, in terms of navigation, like they're lost at sea. Okay. I think one organization inevitably is going to install a new captain and try to steer back into the known world on the map. But with San Francisco, I wonder if we're just going to stay in this mode with them forever, where Kyle Shanahan continues to be a good offensive coach, but continues to run the team in a way that undermines their potential success. Rinse, repeat.
You got to get the spinnaker out, Bloom.
Yeah.
That's a sailing. I've been watching too many sailing videos.
The spyglass.
I will say this about Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. It seems like because you have one captain and Matt Nagy who doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know how to run doesn't know what a compass is, right?
Right.
He's just adrift. You have another one that what he's always done isn't working, and he's sticking with what he's always done, which, there's some, I guess, credit in that. But you also have, in terms of the Brandon Ayuk thing, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? We're proving a point because he won't do this in practice. You kind of need him in the game, man. Like, can you come together, come to Jesus, come to Kumbaya? I don't know. Get the acoustic guitar out, and let's talk about the Bears. And I just want to talk about Khalil Herbert. But I don't know, Jason wants a Fangio impression every day. I want to talk about Khalil Herbert. So let's go.
Yeah, you bring up that Brandon Ayuk thing, which was a topic between myself and the world famous Eric Stoner. And you know what I may have secured? I don't want to put any pressure on him. Eric Stoner on the couch. I'm just saying.
Dude, you can't put that in the universe. Now you got me excited.
Yeah. That's right. The return to the airwaves of one Eric Stoner. But that's much more interesting, 1,000 times more interesting. Just you feel bad for Justin Fields. At this point, Cecil, did you see the latest? Remember that first play against Tampa whenever Justin Fields was dropping back to pass and just got destroyed? It's because for the second time this year, they told him he had a free play. They told him that there were $12 on the field. And it wasn't a free play, and it went very badly. Yeah. So at this point, if I'm Justin Fields, I'm like I said, I want to come up with an injury here because this is not going to help him progress. It's not going to.
Yeah, we don't need Dan Orlovsky running off at the mouth again with
BS. I know. So Khalil Herbert, yes, Khalil Herbert's making a name for himself. Khalil Herbert, a la James Robinson, it's like everything's collapsing around him. He says, "I can still play football. Watch this." And maybe this is a game where he can keep him in the game. Maybe this is a game. Remember when we thought San Francisco's defense was good? Ooh, Nick Bosa and Dee Ford. Well, DeForest Buckner's gone now. Solomon Thomas is gone now, right? So, like all those first-round picks. Remember when they thought they were going to be a good defense? Maybe this week they're a good fantasy defense. I don't know. That's the best I can come up with.
That's the best I can come up with as well. The best we can come up with now. It's time to talk about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and Cleveland is our next game up. And I love that, Bloom. I love the Mike Tomlin speech for multiple reasons, but one, because he said there's no blank check any booster can give me that's big enough. And when you tell rich people,
you're telling the secrets.
When you tell rich people what they can't have, they don't like that. So Mike Tomlin kind of thumbing his nose there about the USC job. Everyone, USC, it's going to be USC. Like, nah, not according to Tomlin. Now going up against Cleveland, we got some interesting things on the Cleveland side in terms of who's going to play, all those sorts of things. But the Steelers coming off their bye, and without Juju, you're expecting more Diontae Johnson. Chase Claypool always makes a wide receiver that he flex. I don't even he's not a what the heck flex to me. Like, he's a solid flex every week because that size speed combination. We're looking at what to expect, more Najee. Is that something they learned? How did the Steelers take their bye week, look at things, and then go, this is what we need to be going forward?
Yeah, this is fun. I want to first treat the Tomlin thing with the treatment it deserves, okay? Because I've had my moments where I'm not the biggest Mike Tomlin fan, at least when it comes to game management. And I wonder about Mike Tomlin overseeing a rebuilding process only because he hasn't done it before. That being said, I do think this was a great moment that Mike Tomlin created for us to really appreciate and recognize Mike Tomlin. And his response, Cease, and it shows you he's a really, really thoughtful person. And he probably has absorbed, let's face it, Cease, like any person of color who has risen up the ladder in the NFL, or really not just NFL, like any walk of American society, absorbed a lot that he hasn't acted on or otherwise shown that he's absorbing, right? And when he specifically said, Cease, who were the two coaches that he said when he said, does Andy Reid get this question? Right. Who was the other one? Was it Pete Carroll, I think?
Yes.
What do they all have in common? They won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are guys that are like in also lifer jobs. And to the credit of the Steelers organization, he said, I have one of the best jobs in sports. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because I think there was a take out there that was like, oh, is he trying to say with that blank check comment that he wants more money? No, I think that he's very, very happy where he is and he's where he wants to be. But I think that when he says, does Andy Reid get this question? Does Pete Carroll get this question? He's letting you know about his experience and maybe how he still can tell that, he's seen a little differently. Also, what he brought up, he says that he wants a mobile quarterback. Yeah. Let's trade for Jalen Hurts. Let's get this done. Cross-state trade, please. This will get me excited about the Steelers. Would it get you excited about the Steelers?
Of course, yeah.
This is what we have to talk about as Steelers fans right now, right?
Right, the future.
Because I think that Tomlin would meet Hurts halfway. I think there would not be the problems we're having in Philadelphia. So from a fantasy standpoint, whatever. We play Najee Harris. You play Diontae Johnson. Maybe Chase Claypool, a boom bust wide receiver 3 flex. We'll see. And otherwise, the other thing we got to bring up here, man, even though we're Steelers fans, we got to bring it up. This is a big pride game. This is a big gut check game. Do you remember what happened the last time these two teams got together? It was
not good.
It was like shoving your face in the mud and then stepping on the back of your head. I mean, it was a revenge for so many moments that the Steelers did that to the Browns. So this is the next time after that. What's the energy going to be here? This should be very interesting.
Should be very interesting, and should be very interesting to see who is going to play for Cleveland. We know Nick Chubb's going to play. Okay, very good. Very good. Like that. That's good. Still no Baker, right? Is that our assumption?
Probably
Wednesday
not.
Morning.
Highly unlikely.
Wednesday morning, we're recording, just so everybody knows. So probably no Baker. Probably Odell, but he's not the same. We'll see the connection with Case Keenum to Jarvis Landry. We saw that. We definitely saw them try to get Odell involved as well, right? What do you have, like 8 targets, whatever?
Right.
Against the Broncos, only a couple catches, but still, like, okay, so we're getting data points on what a Case Keenum-led Browns team will look like, and, well, with Nick Chubb back, not too shabby.
No, not bad, especially with Nick Chubb back. So if we go back to that game, 48-37, Jarvis Landry was solid in that game. Austin Hooper had a touchdown, I think 7 for 41 and a touchdown. The running back scored 3 touchdowns in that game. Maybe it's a Dearness Johnson game. Remember, the Steelers' run defense did not look great against Alex Collins. Last time we saw them, Alex Collins was shredding them.
Yeah.
And the same Alex Collins.
And he left the game early.
Yeah. So
100 yards.
Yeah. So the Steelers' run defense usually sees, we classify the Steelers like we do the Bucs, just don't run on them. I don't know. We'll see about that. So it could even be a Dearness Johnson game. Certainly Nick Chubb, just to hope for no aggravation of that calf injury as he gets back up to speed. And Beckham we're not playing. And even Keenum we're not playing. The thing to watch here will be whether Case Keenum, the one thing if we were going to differentiate, and by the way with Mayfield, when you hear phrases like he can't protect himself or he's not going to get to play until he can protect himself on the field, I know they haven't put him on injured reserve, but I don't think he's that close to playing. At least not this week. Keenum, if there's one thing we would differentiate, it's the deep ball, right? I mean, it's the ability to stretch the field. And that's something where Mayfield can do that and Keenum can't. So can the Steelers take advantage of that? But again, now I'm circling all the way back around after my laudatory Mike Tomlin take. Has this been a Steelers team on either side of the ball that gets help from the coaches, that goes into a game week and says, well, this team, we can exploit this, or we can take advantage of this. We can change our approach in this way because of this opponent? I haven't seen a lot of evidence of that. So I don't know if they're going to compress things to the line of scrimmage, load up the box, challenge the Browns to throw downfield. That certainly would be a good recipe if they decide to do it.
If they want to do that. I want to talk about Philadelphia and Detroit up next. That is our next game, and part of me wants to just lump them both together.
Yeah.
But the Detroit side actually is way more interesting than the Philadelphia side. I guess the Philadelphia side, we're looking at the backfield and shrugging our shoulders. This is the Boston Scott week, is what that flex or whatever. Philadelphia, we really trust Jalen Hurts until we don't. And Gardner Minshew, who was it? Was it one of the beat writers from The Athletic?
Bo Wolf.
okay, had speculated we're going to see Gardner Minshew a couple times this year. Now, I don't think it's now, but maybe there's a quicker hook for Hurts. So just keep that in mind when we're and Hurts from a fantasy perspective has been fine because of garbage time because he can run, but it doesn't help the Eagles win. And if you're picking a game for the Lions to win,
yes,
it might be this one.
That's the story over this one, Cease, when we get to the Lions side. It's Minshew watch on the Philly side. And Jay Moyer, who was on the couch this week with me, did a terrific job covering this. And I think that at some point with the Eagles, Cease, you have to just take what they're doing at face value, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't really want Hurts as their starter. They didn't change the offense to accommodate him. They continue to talk about things as if, I think there was some talk, I can't remember, put it out there, that there was already talk all offseason of Hurts is going to have to play himself into this offense, right? Hurts is going to have to achieve, even going into training camp. Remember, there was no sense that Hurts is the entrenched starter. And at some point,
after they dealt Wentz, and you're like, oh, they're going to give Hurts the shot, maybe a one-year shot, and then it wasn't even that.
No, it wasn't. It was he has to earn it and all that. And I don't think we can look back at that and say it was just coach speak because of how they have not crafted the offense to his strengths, and they keep asking him to play this offense, even though it's not one that he's well suited for. And Gardner Minshew, indeed, is probably better suited for it. And yes, if this game is a close game, certainly if they lose or otherwise, Hurts is, and there's a part of this for fantasy. Maybe this could be where the crash comes for fantasy, Cease, because if it's a close game, this could be like the Minnesota-Detroit game that had the crazy back and forth at the end, but just not a lot of offense. Because when does the offense come for Hurts? Whenever the game is so out of hand that the other team is just waiting for their cab outside, so the meter doesn't run for too long. So let's just get out of here. Backfield, I don't care. I mean, what the heck, flex for either. I think Gainwell can do more with his touches than Scott. Scott might get more touches. Scott maybe is more likely going to get a short yardage touchdown.
He'll get the high-value touches, yeah.
Right. It's still what the heck flex. It's Devontae Smith up and down. Dallas Goedert, target's not really spiking that much. Jalen Hurts in this offense, because I think he might be the next Steelers quarterback, so I don't want to talk too bad about him. Jalen Hurts in this offense is not going to foster value for his receivers. It's just not going to happen. Maybe against Detroit, maybe you make an exception, but I hope the exception here is the exception to Detroit finds a way to lose every game so far.
Life is about timing. It's about communication. It's about relationships. It's about being a good person. That's life. Football is also about timing. So if you're a Steelers fan like us going, and they just need to go to the draft and get somebody. No. You seen the draft class next year? There will be first rounders, but how many, and are they
EJ Manuel kind of first rounders?
Are they really worthy of that designation? So yeah, maybe a little Jalen Hurts love. Let's give some love to the Lions, man. I've really been pulling for them. Apologies to our dear friend Jason Wood. Course, season ticket holder for the Philadelphia Eagles, but this one's in Detroit. So Detroit, let's go. What are your thoughts on a Jared Goff throwing to a TJ Hawkinson and our friend Khalif Raymond, and of course DeAndre Swift doing his thing. Jamal Williams is also a what the heck flex, maybe even more this week against Philadelphia. Let's go Detroit, man. Let's go get that win.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, DeAndre Swift, whatever you're playing him, Khalif Raymond's coming on. TJ Hawkinson, underwhelming for fantasy, but you're probably going to keep playing him unless you have a Dalton Schultz maybe that you're weighing him against. And I would understand maybe not going with Hawkinson because, well, he hasn't made you regret putting him on the bench if you've had to. He's made you regret playing him. But really the story here I want to focus on is, can the Lions win? Can the Lions win, please? Cease, what we've seen, and look, Dan Campbell, and boy, was everybody wrong about this. And I don't want to say I don't do that really. That's not me. But I hope that the people that were saying, kneecap biting, football guy, this is going to be horrible, this guy's just a big meathead, are rethinking what they saw in Dan Campbell when he was introduced.
You can see the human side of things, Bloom, and it's also the same in the opposite lens because people have preconceived notions. So when something happens, they just respond through that prism, right?
Yeah, we all do.
And a meathead guy, or you know what the other side is, analytics guy. Like, it's like, okay, please, are you a football guy? Can you make it happen? Can your team respond to you? With Campbell, obviously the answer is yes.
And Dan Campbell is going to move the ball down the field a little bit more for head coaching. He really is. never before can I remember, Cease, in a game, a coach really calling plays or making high risk reward calls that embrace the idea that, hey, there's one way that we're going to beat this team. We're going to beat this team if we do an onside kick and a fake punt and, and at every turn, we're going to keep doing it. And, if you think, and that's what made it so much fun because, okay, you did your big gotcha moment when you did an onside kick. You're not going to do a fake punt. Yeah, I am going to do a fake punt. What else what else could I do? And more coaches of bad rosters should be doing this, right? It's what you would hope you or I would do if you put us in that situation. Well, I want to win. So I'm going to try things that could make me look really foolish if they go badly, but this is the only way we can win. And sure enough, they hung in with the Rams. So I hope that this opens the eyes of more coaches to call more fake punts, call more surprise onside kicks, do more things to quote unquote steal a possession, because there's just football becomes more fun when you take more risks because of the good things that can happen. And for every Lions fan left out there, because I know a lot of Lions fans, but they all say, well, I used to be a Lions fan, or I was a Lions fan until this. Right. I was a Lions fan for my whole life, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I hope Dan Campbell gives them a reason to give their heart back to the team, because he's certainly given his heart to the team.
Giving your heart to us here on the Audible, and I guess we're giving our hearts to Tennessee and Indianapolis up next. And what's fun is watching Tennessee and doing their thing, and of course, because of Derrick Henry, they're not going to. You're starting Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill's your option there as well, going up against the Colts. We've seen this matchup plenty of times on both sides, Bloom. So let's discuss what Tennessee will look like now since they're surging. I have a feeling. And Mike Vrabel breaking that Belichick curse of your former coaches. But either way, I have a feeling that Tennessee's not going to let off the gas.
Yeah, that's the thing you would watch maybe is for a little bit of a letdown here coming off of those wins over Buffalo and Kansas City. But I don't think so. I think this team has been through a lot together, and they're going to bring it. However, part of me just suspects this. I know there was somebody that was doing this where it's like the circle of life in the NFL where you do the transitory win property, and at some point in the season you can link them all up so that every team could have beaten every other team, right? This is like the Jets beat the Titans beat, you can go down the track where it circles all the way back around to like the Jets could beat any team in the league. And it just seems like the natural transitory property of win puzzle the NFL dictates that, well, we think it's Tennessee this week, and we'll come out of it thinking it's Indianapolis next week. And then Indianapolis will lose to somebody, and we'll think, well, it's not Indianapolis. Now it's back to being Buffalo again, because that's fun. Again, Pete Rozelle parody. But Tennessee's riding so high. These teams did play already this year. Carson Wentz was hurt, so I'm not really sure how much we can get out of it. However, Ryan Tannehill threw 3 touchdowns in that game. Cease, do you know how many went to Julio Jones or A.J. Brown? None.
0.
None. 0. It was like Nick Westbrook, Akine, and otherwise. Brown was hurt. Jones was probably hurt at that time. So that Tannehill has it in him to have a good fantasy game in this one. He just might not need to, depending on how Tennessee's defense performs, depending on how Derrick Henry performs. But yeah, this is fun for Tennessee. Indianapolis could not pick a worse time to play them, but at the same time, Indianapolis coming in feeling their oats too. They're feeling pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, and Indianapolis should continue doing what works best for them, even though Jonathan Taylor in 2 career games against the Titans had 17 for 76 and no touchdowns.
What?
He's trending in the right direction. So what is it? 3 of the last 4 weeks, Bloom, top of my head?
Yeah.
He's had 100 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
almost on one play.
and that's the thing. Like, oh, you got Derrick Henry. Oh, we got Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, that's what they should do. Now, the career, but he hasn't had the success. You're still starting Jonathan Taylor, for the love of God. Oh, but the success. And like, yay. No, look at the way he's trending. Look at the last 3 or 4 weeks of data. Look at what Indy should do, but Bloom, drink. It's time to talk about rational coaching.
Yeah, it is. It is. Although, look, they've got something good going here. Carson Wentz got over their injury issues, and now they had a game that they won. I think the way it was put well, I believe by Wentz, but I could be wrong, was even though it was a monsoon, even though it was terrible conditions, Indy still played Indy football. They were still true to themselves. They didn't let the conditions change who they were at all. And that's why this team is feeling good about their identity coming into this one. And again, you throw this out. I mean, last time Naeem Hines had a pretty solid fantasy game. I don't know if we can get anything out of that. That might have just been because Carson Wentz was very limited in his mobility, his ability to throw downfield. Jonathan Taylor, red hot. Michael Pittman, red hot. Mo Alley Cox, red hot. Yeah, well, why not? I mean, he's scoring touchdowns. We're going to see if T.Y. Hilton's going to play. I think even if T.Y. Hilton plays, it shouldn't get you off of Pittman. It shouldn't get you off of Mo Alley Cox if you have to replace a Mark Andrews this week, and that's what you have on the waiver wire, Darren Waller. But we'll see how that affects things, because with T.Y. Hilton, and you want T.Y. Hilton to play in this one in terms of entertainment value, because he was bringing the deep passing game back. And remember, that was always the talk. T.Y. Hilton himself saying, oh, now we can have the deep ball in the offense again. The team would probably be better off with Phillip Rivers, maybe even like current Phillip Rivers. But that's the one thing that Phillip Rivers couldn't really do. And Carson Wentz can, even on improvisational extended plays. So T.Y. Hilton adding that other dimension, maybe not mattering for fantasy, not getting us off of Michael Pittman, even though when Hilton was back, Pittman had a down game. Mostly I just want to watch this one, add to the AFC intrigue, see how Tennessee and Indianapolis responds, because both of these teams are coming in with momentum.
Both of these teams are coming in with momentum, and our final game in part one of the Week 8 preview here on the Audible, well, it's the Bengals and it's the Jets. And, well, one team has momentum, the other does not. So start all your Bengals, and let's just take a moment to reflect on the fun that you get when you watch Cincinnati football.
Yeah, the feel-good story of the league right now.
We're all part of the Goodberry section, right?
Yeah. Oh, did you see, by the way, Eli Apple came after Joe Goodberry? It was great. I think it's because Eli Apple wasn't very good for the first couple of weeks, and Joe said something like, you can't hide corners on the field. Well, they don't need to hide Eli Apple, because Eli Apple's playing a lot better now.
Yes.
So it's good. Hey, it means
go be better. Hey, you want to change the narrative, go play better.
Joe Goodberry is very relevant. Have you seen Joe Goodberry's Mandalorian costume, by the way?
Yes.
Oh my! I think he designs and 3D prints all of it.
Yes, he does. Yep.
I'm like, you could sell one of those things for like $5,000 probably.
Until Disney slaps it down. Like,
yeah,
careful.
Don't call it. It's not the Mandalorian. It's the Schmandalorian. Yeah,
it's the Bengalorian.
Exactly.
Right. It's Bengal Fett.
Yeah, Bengal Fett. Very good. Someone needs to get that up. We got 4 days Bengal Fett. So go to the New Jersey, so you can go to the game. Wow, Joe Burrow. Wow, Jamar Chase. And it's going to come for T. Higgins. He had 15 targets last week. Didn't turn it into much, but it's coming for T. Higgins, maybe in this game. Joe Mixon, again, we talked about this in the recap show. The Jets are very poor at covering receivers out of the backfield. So Joe Mixon, this could be a Joe Mixon game, maybe Samaje Perine. Even riding the wave with C.J. Uzomah, coming off a 2-touchdown game. My only fear here, Cease, and I think this is a test of Zach Taylor, don't lose your focus. Don't lose your focus just because you're playing the Jets with the backup quarterback. Don't lose your focus just because everybody is talking about you and you're the darling of the NFL press right now. I don't want to see a letdown game. And I think that's the next test here, that if you're a good team, this is never even close.
Jet side.
Yeah.
Is it Mike White? Is it Joe Flacco?
Right.
How about you just start nobody? Maybe keep a pin in guys like Elijah Moore, right? Keep an eye on things. Michael Carter, what the heck, flex? Sure. Something's going to have to happen. They will have offensive snaps. Just we don't know how many and how good they'll be.
Yeah, based on last week, a lot of passing to the running backs. So, yeah, there's Michael Carter, there's Ty Johnson, probably not Corey Davis, not Jamison Crowder, maybe the Cincinnati defense, if you need a defense this week, or even if you don't need a defense, pick up the Cincinnati defense and play them, and let's hope that Cincinnati does what they're supposed to do.
And let's hope that you do what you're supposed to do, which is love us.
Yeah. Love
like
me.
us. You really, really like us. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey. The show's at the Audible. Make sure to do all those YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Thank you, Sasha. And if you love comic books like I do, go watch Casually Comics. Also, go to footballguys.com. If you love the show, you want to support the show, that's the best way to do it. go there now and check out join now button, orange button, top right hand corner of the website, and join us on this football journey. And again, you love the show. We're not going to do a super chat show because that's grift. Anyway, we are going to do this show, and we love you guys. We appreciate you for checking us out at footballguys.com. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. And as always, stay frosty.